The war was coming. Everyone in the Varen sector knew it. Two great powers had been staring at each other across the stars for 30 years, and now the peace was breaking. On one side stood the Karathi Empire. They had 500 worlds under their control. Their ships were painted blood red, and their weapons could burn entire cities in seconds. The Karathi believed in strength. They believed the strong should rule the weak. For decades, they had been growing their fleet, building more ships, training more soldiers. On the other side was the Talish Confederacy. They were not one species but 7, all banded together for protection. The Talish had the best defensive technology in the galaxy. Their shields could stop almost any weapon. But they had fewer ships, fewer soldiers, and fewer worlds. They survived because they were hard to kill, not because they could win a war. Admiral Vec sat in the command center of the Talish flagship. He was old now, his skin gray with age. He had fought in smaller wars before, but nothing like this. The reports on his screen told a terrible story. The Karathi had moved 300 warships to the border. 300. The Talish had only 87 ships that could fight. They will attack in 3 days, said his second officer. Our intelligence is certain. Vec nodded slowly. He had run the numbers 1,000 times. The Talish would lose. Maybe they could hold for 2 weeks if they fought perfectly. But the Karathi would break through. They would take the colony worlds. Maybe they would take everything far away in a part of space no galactic map showed. Something else was happening. Captain Dahayan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. The ship hummed around him, alive with power. 2.5 kilometers of steel and weapons and technology that the galaxy had never seen. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations. They had trained for this moment for years. Status report, they said quietly. Engineer Hannah looked up from her console. All systems running at 100%, Captain. Engines ready. Weapons ready. We can jump whenever you give the order. They walked to the main view screen. It showed the stars, cold and distant. Somewhere out there, 2 civilizations were about to go to war. Earth had been watching them for a long time. Watching and waiting and learning. For 200 years, humanity had hidden. When humans first developed faster than light travel, they found a galaxy already full of life. Hundreds of species, dozens of empires, all fighting over territory and resources. The smart humans, the ones who had survived Earth's own terrible wars, made a choice. They would stay hidden. They would watch. They would learn. And they would prepare. Earth built ships in secret, far from the main travel routes. They developed technology by studying every species they observed. Where the Karathi had strong weapons, Earth made stronger ones. Where the Talish had good shields, Earth made something better. Humanity took the best ideas from everyone and improved them, but Earth did not want to conquer. The people of Earth remembered their own history too well. They remembered the world wars. They remembered nuclear fire. They remembered how humanity almost destroyed itself fighting over things that did not matter. 8 billion people died before humans finally learned to work together. Now Earth had one rule: prevent extinction. Not just human extinction, but any extinction. If a war was going to wipe out a civilization, Earth would stop it. Sir, Science Officer Yuna said, we are receiving the final intelligence reports. The Karathi Emperor has issued his ultimatum. The Talish have 6 hours to surrender 3 colony worlds. When they refuse, the attack will begin. They closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his grandmother, who had survived the climate wars. She used to tell him stories about watching cities flood, about fighting for water, about the day humanity almost gave up. She also told him about the day they chose peace instead. We are ready, Captain, First Officer Hay said. The crew is ready. Earth is ready. Day turned to face his bridge crew. Hannah at engineering, Tay at tactical, Yuna at science, Quan at weapons, Rin at medical, Bei at communications, Jin at security. All of them were the best Earth had. All of them understood what this moment meant. For 200 years, humanity had been ghosts. Today, they would become real. Set course for the Varan sector, they commanded. Position us between both fleets. I want us to arrive exactly when they are about to fight. Sir, that position is impossible, Tay said, checking his calculations. The gravitational interference from two large fleets will make a jump arrival unstable. No ship can materialize there safely. Day smiled slightly. No ship they know about. But we are not using their jump technology. Engage the gravity drive. The bridge lights dimmed for a moment as the Indomitable's main drive activated. This was technology beyond anything the galaxy understood. Humanity had learned to bend space itself, to slide through dimensions that other species did not know existed. Jump in 30 seconds, Hana announced. Day stood tall, his hands behind his back. In 30 seconds, everything would change. The galaxy thought it knew how power worked. They thought the biggest fleet won. They thought war was inevitable. Humanity was about to teach them differently. 10 seconds, Hana counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump. The Indomitable vanished from empty space. When it reappeared, the entire galaxy would be watching. The Karathi Armada moved through space like a red tide. 300 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a city. Grand Admiral Vothan stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Fist. He felt satisfied. The Talish had refused to surrender. Good. He wanted this fight. The Empire needed to show the galaxy what happened to those who defied them. All ships report ready, Grand Admiral, his tactical officer said. Excellent. When we engage, focus fire on their command ships first. I want their leadership destroyed in the first volley. On the other side of the battlefield, Admiral Vec watched the Karathi fleet approach. His 87 ships were arranged in a defensive formation. They would fight. They would probably die. But they would make the Karathi pay for every meter of space. Admiral, we detect an anomaly, the sensor officer suddenly said, his voice rising with alarm. What kind of anomaly? A jump signature. Something is arriving. Right between us and the Karathi fleet. Vec frowned. That is impossible. No ship can jump into that position. The gravitational fields would tear it apart. But on the screen, a point of light was growing. Both fleets saw it. Both fleets stopped moving. Sensors across 600 ships all focused on the same spot in space. The light exploded outward, and then it was there. The Indomitable emerged from impossible space. It was huge, much larger than any warship either side had ever built. Its hull was dark gray, covered in armor that seemed to drink in the light. Strange weapons bristled from every surface. And on its side, painted in white, were symbols no one recognized. Inside the Indomitable, Captain Day watched both fleets on his viewscreen. Perfect position, Hana. Well done. Thank you, sir. The gravity drive performed exactly as calculated. Tactical Officer Tay was already scanning both fleets. I count 300 Karathi warships and 87 Talish vessels. All weapons are powered, but not yet firing. They are probably trying to figure out who we are, Science Officer Yuna said with a slight smile. Day nodded. Let us tell them. Bay, open a channel to both fleets. Broadcast in their languages. Communications Officer Bay worked quickly. Channel open, sir. They are receiving. Day took a breath. He knew that his next words would change history. This is Captain Day Hyund of the Earth vessel Indomitable. This conflict ends now. Both fleets will stand down immediately. If you do not, we will intervene." On the Crimson Fist, Grand Admiral Vothan stared at the transmission. Earth? He had never heard of such a place. He checked the galactic database. No record. This ship, this species, did not exist in any official records. A hidden civilization, his intelligence officer said. They must have been observing us without making contact. Vothan laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. One ship. They send one ship and demand we stop? Do they think we are fools? He opened the return channel. Unknown vessel, you have made a mistake. Withdraw now or be destroyed. They had expected this. Bullies always tested strength before they believed it. Your response is noted, Grand Admiral. You have one more chance. Vothan's face turned dark with anger. No one spoke to him like this. No one threatened the Karathi Empire. All forward ships, target that vessel. Destroy it. 50 Karathi warships turned toward the Indomitable. Their weapons charged. Plasma torpedoes, particle beams, fusion missiles. Enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. They are firing, Tay reported calmly. Maintain position, Day ordered. Do not activate shields. On the Talish flagship, Admiral Vec watched in horror. That ship is not even raising its shields. It will be destroyed. But he was wrong. The Karathi weapons struck the Indomitable. Or rather, they tried to. Every torpedo, every beam, every missile stopped dead in space. They hung in the air around the Earthship, frozen as if time itself had stopped. Stasis field holding, Engineer Hana reported. Energy consumption at 3% of capacity. Vothan stared at his screen. His weapons, the same weapons that could burn worlds, were simply frozen. Not blocked by shields. Not deflected. Just stopped, hanging in space like toys. What technology is this? He whispered. Day spoke again, his voice calm. Grand Admiral, you have attacked us. We have proven we are not defenseless. Stand down. But Vothan was not a man who backed down. He was Grand Admiral of the Karathi Empire. He commanded the greatest fleet in the sector. All ships. Full assault. Destroy that vessel. 150 warships opened fire at once. The space around the Indomitable lit up like a sun. Energy weapons and missiles and torpedoes, all concentrated on one target. All of them stopped. The stasis field expanded, catching every weapon, freezing them in a sphere around the Earthship. On the Indomitable, Weapons Officer Quan looked at Captain Day. Sir? Day nodded slowly. Disable their forward ships. Engines only. No casualties. Understood. The Indomitable finally fired back, its railguns activated. These were not energy weapons. They were simple physics taken to an extreme. Tungsten rods, each one weighing 10 tons, accelerated to 30% of light speed. At that velocity, they did not need explosives. Mass and speed were enough. The first salvo hit 20 Karathi ships in 3 seconds. The tungsten rods punched through their shields like they were paper. They struck the engine sections with perfect accuracy. Explosions bloomed, but they were controlled, contained. The ships went dark and dead, drifting in space, but their crews were alive. Second salvo, Quan said, 20 more ships disabled. Then 20 more. The Karathi fleet began to scatter, but they could not escape. The Indomitable's targeting computers were beyond anything they had. Every shot hit perfectly. Admiral Vec watched in amazement. They are disabling the ships without killing the crews. The precision required for that is impossible. Grand Admiral Vothan saw his fleet being torn apart. In desperation, he gave his final order. Deploy the Worldbreaker. From the back of his formation, one enormous ship began to move forward. It was twice the size of any other vessel, shaped like a massive hammer. This was the Karathi Empire's ultimate weapon, a dreadnought that could destroy planets. The Worldbreaker charged its main cannon. Energy gathered at its prow, bright enough to hurt eyes even through screens. "They are preparing a planet-killer weapon," Una reported. Day's expression did not change. Quan, main weapon. Gravity glance. The indomitable central spine split open. A weapon emerged that looked like a spiral of mirrors. It aimed at the Worldbreaker dot and fired. There was no beam, no visible projectile. But suddenly, the Worldbreaker began to crumple. Its own mass was crushing it. The gravity lance had created a tiny gravity well inside the ship's superstructure. The dreadnought's own weight became its enemy dot in 30 seconds. The Worldbreaker was just twisted metal. The Karathi fleet stopped fighting. He spoke one more time. "This is your final warning. Stand down, or we will disable every ship you have. Choose now." Grand Admiral Vothan looked at his broken fleet. Then he gave the order to withdraw. The balance of power had just shattered, and Earth had barely tried. The galaxy exploded with the news. Within hours, every civilization with faster-than-light communication knew what happened in the Varan sector. A mysterious ship from an unknown civilization had appeared from nowhere and crushed the Karathi Empire's fleet without breaking a sweat. Recordings of the battle spread everywhere. Scientists analyzed every second. Military commanders watched the footage over and over, trying to understand the technology they had witnessed. Political leaders held emergency meetings. Earth had revealed itself, and nothing would ever be the same. On the Talish flagship, Admiral Vec requested a meeting with Captain Day. The Indomitable moved closer, and Day agreed to a video conference. When Vec's face appeared on the screen, Day saw an old soldier who had seen too much war. But there was something else in his eyes now. Hope. "Captain Day, I speak for the Talish Confederacy when I say thank you. You saved millions of lives today." Day nodded respectfully. "We did what was necessary. No more, no less. I must ask, where's Earth? How long have you been watching us?" "We have been observing the galaxy for 200 years, Day said. "As for Earth's location, that must remain secret for now. I hope you understand." Vec did understand. If he were in Day's position, he would do the same. The Talish would like to offer an alliance. "We could share technology, establish trade. With your help, we could bring true peace to this sector." But Day shook his head gently. "We appreciate the offer, Admiral. But Earth does not seek alliances or territory. We came only to prevent unnecessary death. We will remain in this sector for a time to ensure peace holds, but then we will leave. Will you not at least tell us about your people? Your history?" Day considered this. Perhaps it was time they understood why Earth acted as it did. "Very well. I will send you our historical records. What you see may shock you, but it will explain who we are." When the transmission ended, Day ordered Science Officer Una to prepare a data package. The history of Earth, the wars, the famines, the climate collapse, the nuclear fire that almost ended everything, and finally, the peace that came after. The Talish received the package and spent days reviewing it. When Admiral Vec finished reading, he sat in silence for a long time. Earth had nearly destroyed itself. They had brought their species to the edge of extinction through their own foolishness. And from that terrible lesson, they had built something better. No wonder they wanted to prevent others from making the same mistakes. But while the Talish were grateful, the Karathi Empire was humiliated and furious. Emperor Kalath sat on his throne, surrounded by his advisors and generals. He had ruled for 40 years, expanding the empire with strength and fear. And now one ship, one unknown vessel, had destroyed his fleet and made him look weak. Grand Admiral Vothan failed, the Emperor said, his voice cold. He allowed a single ship to defeat 300. He has been removed from command. His new military chief, General Macros, stood at attention. Your Majesty, we have analyzed the battle recordings. This Earth vessel has technology we have never seen. Stasis fields, gravity weapons, armor that does not even need shields. And they jumped into a position that should be impossible. Are you telling me we cannot defeat them? One ship, no, Your Majesty. But they cannot have many such vessels. Building something that size and power requires enormous resources. They likely showed us their only ship. The Emperor leaned forward. Continue. The home fleet has 800 warships. If we mobilize everything, we can overwhelm them through numbers alone. No ship, no matter how advanced, can fight 800 others. The Emperor smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then mobilize the home fleet. I want the location of Earth. I want this Captain Day brought before me in chains. And I want that ship destroyed so completely that the galaxy forgets it ever existed. What if they have more ships, Your Majesty? Then we will destroy those too. The Karathi Empire does not submit. We do not bow. We rule. Back on the Indomitable. Communications Officer Bay reported increasing chatter across Karathi military channels. Sir, it appears they are mobilizing a larger fleet. Intelligence estimates 800 ships. First Officer Hay looked concerned. 800 ships. That is more than we disabled in the first battle. We knew this might happen, they said calmly. The Emperor cannot accept defeat. It would make him look weak before his own people. Sir, perhaps we should return to Earth, Medical Officer Rin suggested. We accomplished our mission. We stopped the war. But Tactical Officer Tay shook his head. If we leave now, the Emperor will hunt for Earth. He will search every system until he finds us. And then he will bring his full military power against our homeworld. Tay is correct, they said. Running now would only delay the conflict. The Emperor needs to learn the same lesson we came here to teach. War is obsolete. Strength alone does not determine victory. Security Chief Jin pulled up a star map. The Karathi home fleet is gathering at their capital world. If they come here, it will take them 6 hours to arrive. Day studied the map for a long moment. Then he made a decision that surprised even his experienced crew. Change of plans. We are not waiting for them to come to us. Set course for the Karathi homeworld. We are taking the fight to them. The bridge went quiet. Engineer Hannah was the first to speak. Sir, you want to attack their capital? Their most heavily defended world? Not attack. Demonstrate. The Emperor thinks we revealed our only ship because we are weak. He thinks numbers will overwhelm us. We are going to show him exactly how wrong he is. Weapons Officer Quan grinned. Just us? One ship against their entire home defense network and 800 warships? Just us, they confirmed. The Karathi respect only strength. We gave them mercy in the first battle, and they saw it as weakness. This time, we show them what Earth is truly capable of. Then, perhaps, they will understand. Captain, Science Officer Yuna said quietly, this will be seen as an act of war. It is already war, they replied. The Emperor declared it when he mobilized his home fleet. We are simply choosing the battlefield. First Officer Hay checked the navigation calculations. We can arrive at Karathi Prime before their fleet assembles. We will have maybe 30 minutes before they can coordinate a defense. 30 minutes is more than enough. Hannah, charge all systems to full power. Tay, I want targeting solutions for every defense platform, every weapon satellite, and every ship in orbit. Quan, prepare all weapon systems. Yuna, prepare a broadcast package to transmit across their entire communication network. What kind of broadcast, sir? Day's expression was hard. We are going to give the Karathi people a choice. Follow an emperor who leads them to destruction, or choose peace. The Indomitable turned toward Karathi Prime. Inside the ship, crew members prepared for what would be the most dangerous mission Earth had ever attempted. They were going to fly one ship into the heart of the enemy empire, and they were going to win. The Indomitable emerged from its jump at the edge of the Karathi Prime system. Immediately, every alarm in the system activated. Defense stations powered up. Military satellites locked weapons. Ships in orbit scrambled to battle positions, but they were too slow. The Earth vessel moved through space faster than anything they had ever seen. It did not fly like normal ships. The gravity drive bent space around it, allowing it to slide through reality itself. One moment, it was at the system's edge. The next, it was in high orbit above the capital city, on the planet below. Billions of Karathi citizens stopped what they were doing. They looked up at their sky and saw the massive Earth vessel hanging above them like a dark moon. Their planetary shields activated, covering the major cities in blue energy. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Kalath stared at the screens in disbelief. How did they get here? Where's our fleet? Still assembling, Your Majesty, General Macros said, his voice shaking. They bypassed every defense checkpoint. Our sensors barely detected them until they were already in orbit. Fire everything! Destroy that ship now. 200 orbital defense platforms opened fire at once. Energy weapons that could burn through capital ships struck the Indomitable from every angle. The ship just sat there, unmoving. Its stasis field caught every attack and held them frozen in space. Planetary batteries firing, a technician reported. No effect. Target is undamaged. Captain Day stood calmly on his bridge, watching the Karathi defenses waste their power. Bay, open a channel. I want every communication network on this planet to receive my message. Every screen, every radio, every device. Done, sir. You are broadcasting to the entire planet. They spoke, and his words reached into every home, every vehicle, every public space on Karathi Prime. People of the Karathi Empire, I am Captain Dehai of Earth. Your Emperor has ordered his home fleet to attack us. He cannot accept that his military was defeated. He cannot accept that there are those in the galaxy more powerful than him. And so he is willing to risk all of your lives to satisfy his pride. Inside the palace, Emperor Kulith screamed, "Cut that transmission. Cut it now." We cannot, Your Majesty. They have override codes we have never seen. They have complete control of our networks. On the planet's surface, people gathered around screens, listening to the strange alien captain. We could destroy this world, they continued. Our weapons could burn your cities in minutes. But we will not do this. Instead, we will show you something else. We will show you that your military cannot protect you from us. Not because they are weak, but because they face technology they cannot match. What is he doing? First Officer Hay asked quietly. He is giving them a choice, Science Officer Yuna answered, between their Emperor and their survival. On Day's command, the Indomitable deployed thousands of small drones. Each one was no bigger than a human hand, but they were packed with Earth's most advanced technology. They spread across the orbital space in a perfect formation. Beginning operation, Tactical Officer Tay reported. All drones active. The drones went to work. They did not fire weapons. Instead, they hacked. Karathi computer systems were advanced, but they had never faced quantum computing, combined with artificial intelligence that had been specifically designed to break into alien networks. Within 5 minutes, The drones had access to every military satellite in orbit. Disabling orbital defenses, Security Chief Jin said. One by one, the orbital platforms went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their targeting systems shut off. 200 weapon stations, all neutralized without a single shot fired. On the planet, military commanders frantically tried to regain control. But every command they sent was intercepted and blocked. The Earth drones had taken over their entire network. Moving to Phase 2, they ordered. Target the shipyards. The drones flew to the massive military shipyards orbiting Karathi Prime. These were the facilities that built the Empire's warships. The drones did not destroy them. That would kill thousands of workers. Instead, they systematically shut down the construction systems, the power generators, the assembly lines. Sir, the home fleet is arriving, Weapons Officer Kwan reported. 800 ships entering the system. Let them come. Yuna, prepare the next transmission. The Karathi home fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a battle formation. Admiral Tarek, commanding from his flagship, saw the Earth vessel hovering above his homeworld. He also saw that every orbital defense was offline. All ships, prepare to engage. Protect the homeworld. But before he could give the order to fire, his screens flickered. The Earth captain appeared again. Admiral Tarek, your defenses are disabled. Your shipyards are offline. We have complete control of your orbital space. If we wanted to harm your people, we could have done so already. We have not. This should tell you something important. They paused, then continued. I am now going to do something that will seem impossible to you. I am going to give you a gift. Inside the palace, Emperor Kulath watched in horror as files began downloading to every civilian computer on the planet. Millions of files, all containing the same thing. What is he doing? The Emperor demanded. A scientist checked the data. Your Majesty, he's transmitting technical specifications for clean fusion power generation. The designs are complete. Any civilization could build these reactors. Why would he give us technology? The scientist looked pale. I do not know, Your Majesty, but these designs are more advanced than ours. If they work, they could solve our energy problems for the next 1,000 years. Across the planet, engineers and scientists opened the files. They studied the designs, and they realized that Earth had just given them something priceless. For free, no demands, no conditions. They spoke one final time. People of the Karathi Empire, we did not come to conquer you. We did not come to steal from you. We came to show you that there is another way to exist in this galaxy. A way that does not require endless war. A way that does not require you to fear your neighbors. Your military is powerful, but power means nothing if it only brings death. Earth was once like your empire. We thought strength meant weapons. We were wrong. We nearly destroyed ourselves learning this lesson. Now we offer you the same choice we made. Continue following leaders who see only enemies. Or choose peace and see what you might build instead. The transmission ended. On the surface, riots began in the capital city. People poured into the streets. Some called for the emperor to step down. Others demanded answers. Why had their military failed so completely? Why had Earth spared them when they could have attacked? In the imperial palace, Emperor Kulath sat on his throne in silence. His generals stood around him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? His fleet was helpless. His defenses were disabled. And worst of all, the Earth ship had won the hearts of his people by giving them a gift instead of destruction. General Macros finally spoke. Your Majesty, we cannot win this fight. I am Emperor, Kulath said quietly. The Emperor does not surrender. Then perhaps, the general said carefully, the Empire needs a new emperor. The palace guards, who had been listening to everything, did not move to arrest the general for treason. They simply stood there, waiting to see what would happen next. The balance of power had not just shifted. It had completely inverted. And Earth had done it without killing a single person. 3 days after the Indomitable arrived at Karathi Prime, Emperor Kuluth was no longer emperor. The people forced him from power in a peaceful revolution. No blood was shed. The military stood aside and let it happen. They had seen what Earth could do, and they understood that the old ways would only lead to their destruction. A provisional government took control, led by civilian officials who had been advisors but never had real power before. Their first act was to request a formal meeting with Captain Day. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station near the planet. Day came along, though his crew monitored everything from the Indomitable. The new Karathi leadership consisted of 5 people, representing different regions and cultures within the Empire. The leader of the group was an older woman named Varys. She had been a teacher before the revolution. Now she spoke for billions. Captain Day, we want to apologize for our former emperor's actions. We also want to thank you for showing mercy when you could have destroyed us. Day nodded respectfully. Your empire is not the first to choose military power over wisdom. Many civilizations make this mistake. Earth made it too. We have been studying the historical records you transmitted to the Telesh. They shared them with us. Varys looked sad. Your people suffered terribly. 8 billion dead. Your whole planet almost died. Yes, and from that pain we learned. We cannot force you to learn the same lesson, but we can show you that another path exists. One of the other officials, a younger man named Corin, spoke up. The technology you gave us, the fusion reactor designs. Our scientists say they are real. They will work. They will. They confirmed? We are giving them freely. Use them to improve your people's lives. Why? Varys asked. Why give us anything? We threatened you. We tried to destroy your ship. Because gifts build bridges. Threats build walls. We want this galaxy to have fewer walls. The Karathi officials looked at each other. Finally, Varys spoke again. We would like to propose a treaty. The Karathi Empire will cease all aggressive expansion. We will reduce our military by half. And we will work with the Telesh to establish a lasting peace in this sector. That is a good start, they said. But you should include other civilizations too, not just the Telesh. True peace requires everyone to participate. We will arrange it. Will Earth participate in these talks? We will observe. We will offer guidance if asked, but we will not govern you. Your choices must be your own. 6 months passed. The Polara Accords were signed at a great conference attended by 17 different civilizations. The treaty established borders, trade agreements, and a council for resolving disputes peacefully. For the first time in generations, the Varan sector knew peace. The Indomitable remained in the sector, but it was no longer alone. Earth had sent 2 more ships. The Resolute arrived first, followed by the Horizon. They were sister ships to the Indomitable, equally powerful, equally advanced. Their presence made it clear that Earth had not shown everything it possessed. Captain Day stood on the observation deck of his ship, looking out at the stars. First Officer Hay joined him there. Strange, is it not? Hay said. We spent 200 years hiding. Now, in just 6 months, everything has changed. Change was always coming, they replied. We just chose when and how. Do you think it will last? The peace? Not forever. Peace never does. But maybe long enough for them to see the benefits. Long enough for a new generation to grow up without constant war. Science Officer Yuna approached with a datapad. Sir, we have received 17 requests for diplomatic contact with Earth. Everyone wants to know where we are. what we want. Tell him the truth. We want nothing except for civilizations to survive. If they can accomplish that without our help, excellent. If they need us, we will be watching." On Earth itself, humanity celebrated. For 2 centuries, they had lived in secrecy, always preparing, always watching. Now, they had stepped onto the galactic stage and proven that their way, the way of wisdom and mercy combined with overwhelming power, could change the course of history. But Earth's leaders were not naive. They knew this was only the beginning. They increased ship production. More vessels like the Indomitable were being built in hidden shipyards. Earth would remain ready. Back on Karathi Prime, the new government was transforming the Empire into something different. They were building fusion reactors using Earth's designs. Energy that had been scarce was now abundant. With cheap power, they could focus on things other than conquest. Science, art, medicine, culture. Young Karathi children learned about the day the Earth ship appeared. It became a story they told, a legend. The day the galaxy changed. Some called it the day of humbling. Others called it the day of awakening. On the Talish homeworld, Admiral Vec retired from military service. He was old, and the war he had feared never happened. In his final speech, he said something that spread across the galaxy. "We thought the strongest fleet would rule. We were wrong. The strongest wisdom rules. And Earth showed us wisdom we had forgotten." Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Day received a personal message from Earth Command. It was from the Secretary General of Earth. "Captain Day, you and your crew have done what we hoped. The galaxy knows we exist. They know we are powerful. More importantly, they know we choose mercy over domination. Continue your mission. Remain vigilant. And remember, we are not the galaxy's rulers. We are its guardians." Day shared the message with his bridge crew. They had been together through everything. The long years of watching. The moment of revelation. The battles. The peace that followed. Engineer Hannah smiled. "Guardians. I like that. It is better than conquerors." Tactical Officer Tay nodded. "Though we had to prove we could be conquerors first. They would not have listened otherwise." "That is the paradox," Weapons Officer Kwan said. "We must be strong enough to destroy, but wise enough not to." Medical Officer Rin added, "My grandmother always said the same thing. She was a soldier in the climate wars. She said the hardest victory is the one where nobody dies." Communications Officer Bay looked up from his station. "Sir, we are receiving a signal. It is from a civilization we have not heard from before. The Dreth Collective. They are having a border dispute with their neighbors. They are asking if Earth can mediate." They looked at his crew. "It appears our work is not finished. Plot a course. Let us see if we can help." The Indomitable turned away from Karathi Prime and headed deeper into the galaxy. Behind it, the Resolute and Horizon took up patrol positions in the Varan sector. They would watch. They would protect the peace. And across the galaxy, civilizations that had spent millennia fighting over resources and territory began to wonder. If Earth could stop a war with one ship, what could they accomplish with wisdom instead of weapons? The balance of power had shattered. But in its place, something better was growing. Not an empire. Not a dominion. Just a galaxy where someone powerful enough to enforce peace had chosen to do exactly that. Captain Dayhind stood on his bridge, looking at the stars ahead. Humanity had hidden for 200 years, learning from their terrible mistakes. Now they were teaching those lessons to the galaxy. And the galaxy, slowly, was learning to listen. The Indomitable jumped to faster than light speed, vanishing into the darkness between stars. Somewhere out there, another conflict waited. Another chance to show that strength without wisdom was nothing. But wisdom backed by strength could change everything. Earth had revealed itself. The balance of power had shattered, and from the broken pieces, a new era was beginning. The age of endless war was ending. The age of cautious peace, enforced by those strong enough to maintain it and wise enough to not abuse it, had begun. Humanity, the species that almost destroyed itself, had become the guardians of the galaxy. And they would fulfill that role, one act of mercy at a time.